Our patio garden has been blooming here over the last week, and I feel like finding cacti in bloom is sort of like seeing a shooting star. You know what happens, but timing is so important to actually experience it and see it yourself. So today I wanted to bring and share with you our cacti that we have here in our patio garden as they are in bloom. So here we have our hedgehog cactus that is native to northeastern Mexico and southwest US. And hardy to zones 5. Now it's a bit shorter and more compact, and it is covered in white spines. But this time of year in late May, you get a nice display of vibrant pink flowers. So just next to it, we have the Texas rainbow cactus, which is just native to mainly the Big Bend area of West Texas. You can see that it is more of a sturdy, singular stem that it creates here, and it'll be about 4 to 6 inches wide and only capping out at about 8 inches in height. Of course, it's covered in spines, and it actually gets that name rainbow because of the banding that will create on the base of those spines, kind of creating a rainbow effect on the stem there. It also, when it blooms later in the season, later in the spring, I should say, you can see that it's just now coming on while some of the others are done blooming. It actually has more of a yellow flower, but as that flower matures, it sort of turns this pink color. It is hardy from zone 6 to 10, and so it's overwintered just fine for us here in Stillwater. Now switching a little bit, we have almost a shrubby or tree-like cactus that's known as the tree cholla. It is also native across the southwest US, and you can see it's very different than the others that we featured so far, as it has more of a rope-like gray-green stem that are again covered with spines, so you want to be careful when you're handling it. It does bloom, as it's one of the later ones to bloom here at the Botanic Gardens in late spring, with a pink flower that's followed by a yellow fruit that will persist for several months, and it's actually, that fruit is an attractive quality for wildlife. The nice thing about this tree cholla, however, is that it's very sculptural throughout the year, even into the winter months, as it can remain hardy to below 0 temperatures. Now switching to a different genus, we have several different opuntias here that I want to kind of go through with you. And opuntias are actually some of the most cold tolerant of the lowland cacti. In fact, they can spread all the way up into Canada. Now the first one that we have to look at is Opuntia polyacantha. One of the single most widely distributed opuntias is polycantha that grows from the southern US border all the way to Canada. It has a little less tidy appearance, as it can remain relatively compact and grows low to the ground. So often in the wild, you'll see it kind of have a lot of grass growing over it, or a lot of other plant debris that kind of intertwines with it and covers it up. However, it is pretty fierce with both short and long spines. The short spines tend to be darker in color, and the long spines are thinner and lighter in color. The flower can range from yellow to pink. Now the next one we have is another Opuntia polycantha, or Great Plains prickly pear, although this particular cultivar is known as Peter Pan. And you can see it has a much different look. It actually has more of a miniature condensed look. And the reason why it's called Peter Pan is because it continues, it's perpetually growing in a juvenile state, which means it's never going to flower for us. However, it creates these smaller pads that are covered with spines on them. So again, you want to be careful, but it creates a dense mat that has kind of more of a grayish color to it because of all those spines as it spreads out across your garden. So here we have the marble fruited prickly pear, which is another species of Opuntia, and it's most distinguishable because it has circular pads, and the spines that are in clusters of 5 to 8 are kind of a reddish yellow color, and they actually kind of sort of point down more than some of the other prickly pears. Now you can see it has beautiful yellow flowers that come on in late spring, and this particular one is more native to southwest Texas in the Chihuahuan Desert. Next we have the golden prickly pear, and it's known for having its yellow flowers, which is how it has its name, although you can see ours has a pink flower, and in fact this particular species of Opuntia can hybridize really well with other prickly pears. Therefore you often get offsprings that have more spines or pink flowers, such as the one we have. Also, there is a popular cultivar, Coombs Winter Glow, that has more of a magenta flower. Now, traditionally, the golden prickly pear is a low-growing cactus with oval-shaped bluish-green pads that are mostly spineless. As you can see here, they do, however, have a few spines that tend to be up around the top of each of those pads. Golden prickly pear is hardy from zones 5 to 9, but in the winter, the pads will turn a darker purplish gray color, but will soon green up in the spring. The next one we have here is called Beaver's Tail cactus, which is native to northwestern Mexico and southwestern U.S. It is a sprawling cactus that has flattened pads and is relatively spineless when you first look at it. However, you still want to be careful because it does have those fine hairs that are like spines that will get into your skin and are often more difficult to remove. The next one I want to feature here is called Bunny Ears, and this one actually gets about 2 to 3 feet tall with about a 4 to 6 foot spread. Now, while it has a cute name, Bunny Ears, it actually gets that name because of those short glaucid spines that it has on here that kind of creates this cottony, fuzzy look to it. But don't be fooled because those are spines and they will get into your skin. The other reason why it has its name is because when it produces, it tends to produce 2 pads on top of it. So you can see that it sort of creates this bunny ear look as it continues to grow. Now this particular one is only hardy to zone 9. So you can see we have it in a container. We actually take it inside every winter and then replant it back out here in our patio garden each spring. So it makes for a really good indoor plant for that reason. Now you can see this particular one is not actually blooming. It doesn't have any buds on it either. And in fact, it rarely does bloom. It's actually most notable for that vegetation and again, kind of that structural form that it brings to the landscape. And last we have the cow tongue prickly pear, and you can see, like other prickly pears, it's going to again have some of those spines on there that you want to be cautious of. It tends to kind of lay down, but then will produce what it's really known for, which are these kind of elongated, more of a spade shape pad versus some of the others that have been more round or oval shape. It tends to be a little bit longer and wider at the base of it. You can see we've got a new flush of pads that are coming on. Unfortunately, this is one of the few that didn't bloom this year, but traditionally does have yellow flowers on it. So while cacti can seem a little different than our traditional ornamental plants, they definitely can add a beautiful aesthetic appeal to your garden.
We hope you enjoyed this video as part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on the OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.